Newzroom Afrika's Soweto is at Joburg Hostel and joins us live. This revitalization idea seems pretty grand. What is it going to involve?
Good afternoon, Hugo. So right now we're in Meadowlands at a community hall where the indunas of the various hostels throughout the city of Joburg have come together, and really the officials from the city really stressing that this is a collaborative effort between the city and themselves in trying to get this revitalization project going and to find out the details that hopefully it works for both parties going forward, because one such project did happen years ago, about 15 years ago, as the MMC had outlined during his presentation, but it really collapsed then because perhaps the discussions then didn't really involve the residents who live at the hostels and getting them involved in the talks. But right now it's about seeing where the challenges are at many of the city of Joburg's hostels. We've seen some of the issues include, sewage infrastructure, a lot of it about infrastructural development and the crumbling infrastructure, and them working with each other to create just family units and how they can restructure the hostels so that they work for the residents in those communities. But I do want to bring into the conversation the MMC and the MEC about this project. Perhaps I can start with you, MEC. You outlined in your presentation that it is about working together. Where were the gaps before, and is it about fixing that gap now?
Yes, thanks so much. I think the biggest gap was that there was not a lot of alignment between the province and the municipality. So the municipality has a big role to play in any type of development, whether it is private or public. You need the approval from the municipality, but you also need the municipality to budget, plan for, and implement bulk infrastructure. So especially in a metro, they have the responsibility of electricity, water and sewer, and road infrastructure. So a lot of the projects, even if you look at them historically, it would have been implemented by the province, but when with little to no engagement with the municipality or alignment with the municipality's plans. So they get to a certain point and then they stop because the municipality is not on board, and you have to sort of wait. What that then does is it creates an environment for vandalism and stuff like that. Structures are complete. You can't have people moving in because there's no water or there's no electricity or there's no sewer connection. Over time, it waits for the municipality, and like I say, it then gets vandalized. We have a lot of those. So unless you align very, very closely with the municipality, any project that you want to do, whether it's from national, whether it's provincial government, and like I say, even the private sector, if they want to build, develop, you need the municipality's support and you need the municipality to be on board. I guess that's the biggest gap that we're trying to close with this process.
And so now with the Induna participation, are you hopeful that these talks will yield positive results? And how long is this kind of plan for?
Look, as I said, I think even in my opening, I had said we have to engage. We can't engage perpetually, and there has to be a decision taken. So the municipality does have a broad framework with some areas of detail. They've presented that today. We need to get the Induna's feedback. If they need further engagement because maybe something wasn't presented clearly or easy to understand, we'll afford them that. But I think the municipality and ourselves, we've got a particular time just to be able to do that engagement. Ultimately, we've got to hear each other and then come to a decision. We will be the decision makers as government. That role can't be usurped, but it needs to be thoroughly consulted with the key stakeholders. Ndunas, of course, they play a very key role in the hostel environment. They essentially are the ultimate voices of the residents. And if you get them involved from the onset, they have a way in which they consult the residents and the people that they represent, and ultimately we're able to come to some type of consensus and decision.
Absolutely. Thank you, MEC. We'll leave it there with you for now, but I want to bring in MMC Mabaso. MMC, you mentioned that you grew up in a hostel, and now you're on the other side as an official. Tell me about that experience and really your hopes to see fruitful discussions from today.
Well, thank you very much. I think understanding the environment and having to grow up in that environment has assisted us a lot to be where we are today. I mean, even the MEC, in her address, she indicated that she grew up in a township that has an hostel in the neighborhood. So that understanding of the environment, always assist when you engage in such kind of engagements, where you understand what needs to be done for us to get things right. Remember, we are dealing with historical challenges here. There is a development that was introduced, and there was no sufficient engagement which was done at the time. And I was still young at the hostel, and when I got to be part of the leadership in the hostel, it's one of the areas that we're actually raising with the government to say you need to have a thorough engagement with the leaders for you to understand the dynamics and the environment which we are living under in the hostel, so that whatever decision that you are making is informed by the realities on the ground. And I'm happy that most of us, I mean, even the Premier yesterday, he made mention that he grew up residing next to the hostel in Tembisa. So he understands the environment and the nature of which the residents of hostel are living under, and the experiences that they've enjoyed over the years. So that assists us to guide us in terms of taking the right and the informed decisions when it comes to the redevelopment and the management of hostel, and also involving the leaders in the hostels in all the decisions that we are taking, that talks to the redevelopment and the maintenance and the management of the hostels.
Mm-hmm. And I guess just one other question for you, MMC. Obviously, the question is, well, there was a project that was tried before and it didn't work. And, sometimes there's a despondency from community to feel like, well, you tried it and it didn't work. Well, how do we know it will really work this time?
Well, they were not part of the process. I mean, they were invariant with what was delivered at the time. And that's why we never saw any allocation of those units. And today, we are saying, let's just walk this journey together. Whatever decision that we will be taking will be informed by the outcomes of these engagements. Mm-hmm. They will be part of the decision making as of today going forward. So whatever outcome that will be delivered in the hostels, it will be accepted because leaders and the residents would have been part of the process from inception. And that's why we're transparent with them, with all the options that we have at our disposal, so that at least we arrive at a determination today of which route do we take in terms of the management, the maintenance, and the redevelopment of hostel. I mean, there are things that we are also requiring from the leadership. I mean, for us to manage the influx, the overcrowding in hostels, new people coming in after they've heard that there's something coming. So it can only be leaders that will assist us to maintain the number of the residents within the hostel, so that by the time we are done with our assessment in terms of your socio-economic studies and everything else, at least we know that we are planning for a number that is not going to grow beyond what we would have agreed upon with the leaders.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm correct, one of the biggest issues was that it was about rentals, making the units rentals and looking at whether people can afford or not afford to pay rent. Are those part of the discussions now in terms of how will this look in terms of family units and what they cost?
Yeah, remember, even at the time, when the redevelopment program was introduced, the socio-economic study was done, which clearly indicated that 80% of the residents in hostels, they were unemployed at the time. I don't know now because we need to do another study. 80% at the time. But out of the 20%, that was people who did not qualify for PNGs. They said there are those that had previously benefited. Clearly, those ones, they must go for rentals and other type of products that we have in the market. But now, for us to introduce a program that will respond to the real challenges in the hostels, the type of development must be informed by the socio-economic studies that we will conduct. And as a resident myself in the hostel, I can tell you, residents of hostels are not opposed or contesting the payments. They are willing to pay for services. They are willing to contribute to the coffers of government. But it's just that we need to introduce programs correctly. They need to be engaged so that they understand what needs to be paid for. So if you were to ask them to pay for electricity now, who is going to be a beneficiary registered and linked to a prepaid box? Because they are living like 8 families in one unit. So it's not going to work. And if you were to say they must pay rent now, I mean, hostels are not being maintained, and it's only now that we are reintroducing the cleaning and the maintenance of hostels. So if you were to pay, what are they paying for? Because there are no services that are being rendered by government in terms of maintaining these facilities, in terms of making sure that they are habitable, So there is a lot that we still need to do in the hostel before we could engage on issues of payment. But if you were to introduce tomorrow a program, you repurpose them, you construct family units, I can tell you the residents will start paying for electricity and water. And I'm talking as a resident myself.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, MEC. We'll leave it there for now. Hugo, you've certainly heard it from the MEC and the MMC there, outlining their approach this time in dealing with, accommodation issues at the various hostels throughout the city of Johannesburg, and really hoping for success this time because it includes the engagement of Izinduna and finding solutions going forward.